This is Umar Ahmed for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. We're in Nottingham, 2 days away from fight night. With me is head honcho of STN, Paul Reddy. A big week for yourself, obviously. You got Caoimhin and Sandy out this Saturday. So, how are you?
Yeah, very well, mate. Been a busy 2 weeks for us, actually. So it was San Diego last week for Skye Nicholson, and then we got two here. So literally home, packed another bag, and then straight up to Nottingham. So now looking forward to Saturday.
Let's start with San Diego, actually. I'm taking it that Oscar didn't do a review with you after Skye's performance.
He done something with Skye, which obviously more important. But no, it was a good performance. It was a late opponent, so we did have someone locked in, but for one reason or another it didn't happen. It was a southpaw. It was a local San Diego girl. She'd been a bit inactive because she was on, I suppose, maternity leave, if you can call it. And I thought it was a really, really sort of disciplined performance from Skye. I think she boxed very well. You know, kept the distance. Probably could have thrown a few more backhands, which she kind of acknowledged herself. But no, me, the team, Eddie, everyone was really pleased with that performance.
All right, good stuff. Move on to Nottingham this Saturday night. So let's address why Caoimhin isn't boxing Hassan and Dam. Just give me your viewpoint to why that's not happening.
Yeah, so I think with Hassan and Dam, it was someone that we were very keen for him to have. I think he's at that sort of point. He's dancing. Keith, come and dance on camera, man. No, we were pleased to. We wanted to give him that kind of correct step up, someone that has got a lot of experience, that has probably forgotten more than Caoimhin knows in the professional ranks as well. He was offered the fight. I think the money was kind of agreed. The guy had spoke to a few people, but I don't think Hassan and Dam ducked Caoimhin. I think it was more that fighters of that level that have been earning very good purses, with each loss your purse decreases. So probably his expectations of what he should get paid for fighting a top prospect like this, and Matchrooms, I know the figure that was offered. I thought it was a fair figure based on his experience. He decided against it. So look, hopefully we can revisit that in the future. So we were kind of sort of scrapping around trying to find someone that would fight him. The style was important to me as well. I don't want him to go and fight a negative fight, so someone that's just going to get on their bike and run. It's a showcase fight for Caoimhin. It's a huge card in Belfast and Dublin and in the UK, so it's important that he looks the part, but we want someone that is going to come and challenge him and push him, and I'm confident Rubio will be that guy.
First time he's boxing a southpaw, which is a critical thing for any prospect to tick off.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a key thing for him to do. So there's just a few things there that he'll have to negate, and I think Rubio presents some questions for Caoimhin early that he's got to answer. So I'm now looking forward to it.
WBA title on the line.
Yeah.
Is that the route? Obviously, you guys are focused on Saturday, but as his guy in charge of his career, surely you're looking at getting that belt and then moving on to a good ranking with the WBA. And we know Eddie's got a good relationship with the WBA as well. So is that the route?
I think, to be honest, it's whatever route makes sense for Caoimhin. I mean, I know he's keen to win the European title. When we first linked up, he said, Paul, look, I'm a proud Irish fighter, so I don't want to win the British title. I respect that. I know quite a few Irish fighters don't have a desire to win it. It's not a reflection on the British title. So, look, people have mentioned about him possibly fighting Fowler, Cash, or any of these sort of big domestic opponents. I think that could be an option if their career path is at the same point as ours, and obviously if if it's for a European title or a final eliminator or something bigger. But we're just sort of focused on Caoimhin, WBA. I want to get him ranked in all the governing bodies, give him the correct learning fights. He is only 10-0. He'll be 11-0 on Saturday. So yeah, it's just key for him to fight southpaws, fight different styles, box in America as well, and hopefully big plan to headline a show back in Belfast.
How do you keep him away from headhunting this Saturday night with a load of Irish in there?
With difficulty, but no, it'll be good, mate. It's I'm really looking. The main event's going to be brilliant, so we can get Caoimhin's fight out of the way. Sandy's, of course, as well. 2 big wins, hopefully on a big stage, and we can settle down and tune in and watch the main event.
Talk to me about Sandy and her opponent.
Yeah, so I think Sandy's proved quite tricky to match to a degree. I think her last fight was an 8-rounder. She was scheduled to have an 8-rounder, but we did say to Eddie, look, if you've got some good names and people available, we would be willing to sort of jump up a level and fight someone. They presented Farias to us. There was something immediate that I'll keep to myself, that when I watched back a couple of her fights and her record, Clifton was on the same page as well. I think it's the right fight at the right time for her. Look, Sandy's got to turn up. She's got to be on her game. Farias, we know what she's going to do. She's very experienced. She's going to come and stick it on Sandy. And I think Sandy's got to be disciplined, set the tempo. And I think she'll have a stunning win on Saturday night.
Okay. Where do you see her at the end of this year?
At the end of this year, it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen with the 140-pound mix. I think we're not in a pressing rush for her to go and fight for a world title just because she beats Farias and it's like, right now we have to go and challenge one of the champions. A couple more learning fights on a Nahi Sanchez type person, a few other people of that kind of ilk. Just give her those rounds. If Farias doesn't go the distance. I want Sandy to have a couple of good 10-rounders under her belt, and then we'll just we'll see what the landscape looks like for the 140 division at the end of this year, and we'll go from there.
Listen, best of luck with you two guys this Saturday night. How's it been now? Obviously, it's been going for a while now, STN. So how's life been? Obviously, big change from leaving Matchroom and doing your own thing here. So how's it all going?
Yeah, mate, it's good. I mean, look, massive shout out to Sean O'Toole, my business partner. He's takes care of all the legal side, and he's looking after a few other bits and pieces. The boxing day to day myself is that, and obviously looking after the fighters. We've got Dalton Smith, Callum Smith, Caoimhin Agyarko. We should have some news on him soon as well. So yeah, I think as you can see with the type of fighters that we're signing, we're not in a rush to sign 10, 12, 13 people. I think it's quality over quantity. And I've got to get on with the people because I speak to them day in, day out. So we want to build superstars, we want to build headline stars, pay-per-view stars, people that can be huge names at home and abroad. Commercially, they're attractive to sponsors, and most importantly, they're role models to young men and women coming through for the future. So yeah, no, very very pleased with where the business is. Very excited about where we can go, and yeah, I want to establish this as one of the sort of top management companies in the country.
I'm sure there is news on Cal soon, because I saw him outside the Intercontinental in a sweatsuit going for a run. So he's keeping himself, it looks like, for a date soon. Just away from everything, obviously, I do want to quickly just but talk to you about this situation with Anthony Joshua. Just get your thoughts, just from the outside. He engaged with a tweet yesterday about Joe Joyce. Now, a lot of people feel like that's a fight really doesn't have to take, because Joe Joyce is very high risk for anyone, and doesn't really bring in the same reward as a Fury would, or a Dillian White or a Usyk. So if you were guiding Anthony's career at the moment, without Alexander Usyk next, with this situation going on, which is much more bigger than boxing, what would you be saying to Anthony Joshua, and specifically about that fight with Joe Joyce? Because the fans really did get excited about that fight from a fan's point of view. That is probably what we want next, but what would you be saying?
Yeah, I think, look, firstly, sort of with Usyk, kind of thoughts with everyone in Ukraine, and it's a difficult time for him. And I think, I admire him massively, and the Klitschko's, and even Lomachenko and some of the other fighters that are out there. But I think for Anthony, his CV, it amuses me when people kind of challenge it and think, he's ducking this person. He's boxed Charles Martin in his 16th fight, boxed Dillian in his 15th. His CV since then is ridiculous. So I think for Anthony, look, he wants that challenge. I don't think he's not the type of person that's going to get up for just having a knockover job. So I saw some of the tweets. To be honest, I haven't really been on social media loads and loads since I've been back. But I think, look, him against Joyce would be a cool fight, but it's got to make sense for both. I think Anthony's in a very good position. He's due the rematch with Usyk whenever that may be. So I think, look, you'd probably want him to have the right type of opponent that's going to ignite a flame in him, as in, he's going to be up for. I'm not a fan of the term interim fight, because I think that, again, he's a professional guy. I think he's demonstrated that he'll come and put everything into account. But he wants to entertain fans. He's a fighter's fighter and a fan's fighter. So I think whoever really, any of those names, I'd be excited to see for Anthony. But it's just people's financial expectations. Are they realistic? And look, Anthony is still the shot caller in that division, even though he's not with the belt. So he can fight when he wants. He can pick and choose when he wants. So I think you'd probably want to see who's available and kind of go from there, really.
Who would you say, though? Because Otto Wallen's been rumoured, Luis Ortiz, just because they're southpaws and it prepares them well for an Usyk fight if that does happen. But you don't want to go too far down the list, but then you don't also want to fight, a top guy just before you're getting a shot at 3 heavyweight world titles. So it's a strange situation. Who would you say?
Yeah, I mean, people have said, I get the Wallen comparison. I think that kind of makes sense to a degree. But I remember when I first started at Matchroom, and it's with Darren, shout out Darren, and we picked Wallen up from the airport because he was sparring Joshua for Charles Martin. So he knows him very well, Joshua. I know Wallen had, the performance against Fury where Fury wasn't at his best. So, yeah, look, I think hindsight is probably not the worst thing for Joshua with his new sort of training setup. If he does go and have an interim fight, he can sort of test some stuff out. So, yeah, him Ortiz. Stick with the southpaw narrative. I think either of those two, for me, you'd probably push for.
Would it be a hard task if you were managing right now, Anthony?
I think he manages himself really. He's at that degree, so he's got a very solid team around him. Sort of Freddie, KD, Benga, all the guys there, and they all know what they're doing. And I think it's just it's the Usyk situation. You kind of want to give that the respect it deserves. But also Anthony's career can't stagnate. Unfortunately, I know that sounds a bit callous, but the reality is he needs to fight and have fights. So yeah, I think a southpaw would make sense. But I agree with you. You can't go too far down the list. So yeah, mate. It's look. He always fights decent people, right? You know, who's the last person that people say, oh, that's a shit fight. So yeah, Wallin Ortiz, either of those two, I think would be a good shout. What about yourself? Who do you like?
That's just as a fan. Obviously, Deontay Wilder and Joe Joyce are the ones that scream at you, with Tyson and Dillian being locked up. But this is where the conversation is coming from. From a fan's point of view, that's what you want, Wilder or Joyce. But realistically, is that going to happen next? Probably not, because when you've got a shot at 3 heavyweight titles due, it's probably business-wise not the most cleverest thing to do.
Which is why it needs to be a sensible choice, but equally, it's got to be a good opponent. So look, it's a tough job at the top for him and his team, and I'm sure they'll get it right. You know, the moves have been made very well so far. So yeah, I think that Wallin will be good. The Joyce fight, I don't think is going anywhere. You know, they've got history there. Same with Dillian White. I think, you know, all those fights will happen in time. I think he wants to fight all those people, but it's about what fight is going to prepare him best for Usyk. If you're looking at it from that perspective, and perhaps Wallin or Ortiz, Ortiz is stylistically very different, as is Wallin. I mean, Usyk's a bit of a freak technically, but you know, the southpaw narrative maybe makes sense there.
Well, luckily for you, that's the last time you'll have to think about that. You have to focus about Sandy and Caoimhin Sunday morning. So yeah, good luck with them, as I said earlier, and we'll speak soon. All right.
Appreciate it. Cheers, Umar. Take care, mate.